A disaster, with no warning, not a single minute to prepare. In the blink of an eye, a peaceful village nestled in the hills was completely wiped off the map. Familiar rooftops, dusty red roads, the laughter of children, everything vanished, leaving behind only mud, rubble, and a silence that nothing could ever fill. This was the heartbreaking tragedy that struck a remote rural area in Shandong Province, China, where a village once stood, now lives on only in memory. In the early hours of the 23rd of July, 2025, while the people of Laiwu District, Jinan City, were still fast asleep, the sky suddenly broke loose. In less than 6 hours, more than 370 millimeters of rain came crashing down, a figure not seen in over 50 years. Thunder tore through the sky. Roofs were ripped apart by violent gusts. Water surged from upstream like a raging beast. The locals had never witnessed anything so ferocious. Dirt roads became rivers. Rice paddies on the verge of harvest turned into murky lakes. And the village's century-old wooden homes were swept away in an instant. Flash floods slammed into the villages of Shiwuzi and Zhujiayu like a death wave, leaving no time for anyone to escape. A woman in her 60s, still haunted by what happened, recounted the horror through trembling tears. 4 members of her family, her daughter-in-law, and 3 grandchildren were swept away by the floodwaters. No one expected the disaster to strike so fast, or with such fury. Within minutes, panicked screams echoed throughout the village. "The flood is coming! Run! Hurry! Run!" Rushing footsteps splashed through thick mud, children's cries mixed with desperate shouts for help, a scene of utter chaos. No one knew which way to go. The water came from all sides, like a wild beast devouring everything in its path. Some grabbed their children and dashed out of their homes. Others ran back, screaming the names of their loved ones. Some scrambled up onto their rooftops in sheer panic. Doors were ripped from their hinges. Walls collapsed with a terrifying crash. In a matter of moments, the entire village was thrown into turmoil. There was no time to save belongings, papers, or even precious keepsakes. Only bare hands and bare feet left to battle the rising water. People ran uphill, climbed trees, clung to rooftops anywhere that offered even the smallest height above the flood. But for many, it was hopeless. The flood came too fast, too sudden, too merciless. By the time daylight broke, the scene that greeted the survivors looked like the end of the world. The only bridge connecting the village to the outside world had vanished. What used to be a road was now just a thick, dark stream of mud. 28 homes were completely destroyed. Broken roof tiles, crumbled walls piled up like the village had never known life. Bamboo beds, wooden tables, household items all soaked and buried in mud and water. Trees were uprooted. Animal carcasses, pigs, and livestock floated lifelessly on the surface. The entire village looked like a battlefield, drenched in mud and sorrow. Amid the debris, villagers quietly dug through the wreckage in despair, searching for lost loved ones. The air was heavy with desperate cries, voices calling out through the cold, wet earth. "Mom, I'm here! Where's my child?" Each shovel of dirt, each broken voice, was a final attempt to hold on to hope, even if only faintly, that someone might still be alive. By 8 a.m., rescue teams had arrived and immediately launched a frantic search through the devastation. Soldiers spread out across the landslide-hit areas, carrying only shovels, pickaxes, and the weight of urgency in their eyes. No heavy machinery could reach them. Roads were cut off, bridges collapsed. All they had were their hands, and a burning determination to dig, to claw through the icy sludge in search of life. Helicopters and drones buzzed overhead, scanning the shattered landscape for any signs of breathing bodies. But with each passing hour, hope dimmed. By the afternoon of the 24th of July, the first official numbers came in cold, cruel, and unforgiving. At least 22 people were confirmed dead, including both children and the elderly. Another 15 were still missing. No one knew whether they were still alive, trapped beneath layers of dense mud, or swept away by the currents. Each number was a shattered family, a heartbreak beyond words. And that count was not final. Shandong was not the only region suffering. It was just one corner of a much larger disaster engulfing China. In the south, Typhoon Wifa was unleashing devastation across Fujian Province, drowning entire towns. In places like Nanning, Wuzhou, and Baizhou, flash floods turned streets into raging rivers. Villages were swallowed by murky, debris-filled water. Thousands of homes were submerged, more than 1,200 drowned all the way to their rooftops. Highways were torn apart, bridges washed away, trains halted in their tracks. Red alerts for torrential rains and flash floods echoed across every media platform, a desperate SOS from a nation in crisis. Rescue helicopters flew through the rain, circling in fog-choked skies, scanning desperately for anyone still trapped below. On the ground, rubber boats from emergency response teams maneuvered through flooded streets where only rooftops broke the surface of the water. Yet hundreds of people remained stranded, cut off from communication, unable to escape, the current far too strong, too unforgiving, and the nightmare was far from over. On social media, the desperation was palpable. Flood after storm, storm after flood. Is this the end? By July 2025, early reports confirmed that over 150 weather stations across China had recorded historic, record-breaking rainfall. Regions once plagued by drought were now drowned beneath rising water with no way out. Villages once filled with laughter now lay in ruins. Outdated dams, floodgates, and levees, never designed to withstand this level of fury, had crumbled under the sheer weight of climate chaos. This is the consequence of a crisis we're still not ready to face. Just one massive downpour is enough to erase entire towns, shatter dreams built over a lifetime, and leave nothing but heartbreak in its path. And if we continue to ignore the signs, if early warning systems and disaster response remain as slow, fractured, and underprepared as they are now, then the worst may still be ahead. Please share this video to raise awareness about climate change, the urgency of early warning systems, and the need for immediate action, because sometimes a delay of just 1 minute can mean a life that never makes it home.